It is exactly 9:57 a.m. We're into the final interview of the morning. A little late, but I do thank you indeed, Caroline Peters, for your patience. You are Executive Director of the Callas Foundation. You are also a GBV activist. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. Nice to have you on the show.
Hi, good morning, Julie, and thank you very much to Salam Media for this opportunity.
It's an absolute pleasure. Tell us a little bit about the Callas Foundation. What is
Okay,
it
so
that you do?
Callas Foundation we are an organization that does GBV gender-based violence work. So we advocate for women, children, and men by providing services, community outreach, psychosocial support, access to justice for women especially. And Julia, I want to say this, that we never say our services only for women, but as we know, mostly women come to the organization to access services. Like, it's always the women who comes. We do have a few male clients. However, it's always women that access our services. We support women through the court justice system, as we know it's very daunting, in order to dismantle systems. So our main target is women. However, our services are open to families, because by building the family, we build healthy communities. And yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
thank
So where are you based? And
you.
when people come to you, if I'm a victim of GBV, what sort of support would I get from you? So number one, where are you based? And what sort of
Okay.
support would you offer me?
So we are based in Bridgetown in Athlone. We've got psychosocial support. Like, for instance, we just opened. We have clients that would come, and we do an assessment. And I always say, many people, we never advocate for divorce, or we never advocate to break up families. We first see if we assist the woman in this matter. Like I said, it's mostly women. We would offer psychosocial support. We would almost empower her, Julie, to make her own decisions. And then also, if you are a survivor of GBV, we assist you through the court system with your protection order, in some matters with divorce matters. So legal, psychosocial support. We support women who's in conflict with the law. We know that Athlone Magistrates Court has got the highest female offenders in the country, Julie. So we assist women there. We know, people do not realize how many women shoplift for food daily. And so
Sure.
we assist women through the court system. We, of course, we do not excuse the crime. We will go into the history of it and what it is, and then present that to the court. Because we also know, if we incarcerate the mother, then we incarcerate the children as well. And that becomes delinquent. And so the cycle just is perpetuated, Julie. So that is a program that we do for UNODC, United Nations on Office and Drugs and Crimes, in partnership with UNODC. And yeah, that's one of our accredited programs. We look at women in conflict with the law.
Okay, you're based in the Western Cape, and I'm just wondering, we are here in Johannesburg, beaming out from Johannesburg, but of course, our reach is very far and wide.
Yes.
People in, Gauteng, KZN, and other areas around the country, if they're wanting to access services like yours, where do they go to? Because you're very far removed from where
Yes,
they
yes.
actually are.
I know, Julie. I would suggest the number 0800 428 428. That is the national GBV hotline, and it is also based. In fact, that number, they based in Pretoria. So it's 0800 428 428, and it is for all GBV matters. And I want to encourage everyone, whether you're reporting, whether you're in need, when you suspect anything that's happening. I always say, when you see something, say something or do something. Do not turn a blind eye. Do not make us, if yeah, because it does affect all of us,
Okay,
Julie.
I can hear from the way you're talking. You are either a social worker or a psychologist. And that is why you are in the position that you are in. Just correct me, are you a social worker?
Yes, yes,
Okay, brilliant. Keep up the great work. You mentioned something about protection orders, and you also mentioned something else in the course of the interview, and that is that you don't want to break up marriages. So, are you then suggesting that if a woman is in an abusive relationship, will you, as an organization, do everything you possibly can, any intervention to save that relationship? It's not only the woman that needs to be counseled. She obviously would need some form of trauma counseling. But what
yes.
about the perpetrator? What sort of counseling do you offer to the perpetrator?
So, Julie, had you asked me this question a few years ago, I have been in the sector for 30 years. And had you asked me this question many years ago, I would say, no, I don't work with men. I don't want to deal with the perpetrator. But we have realized that we need to work with perpetrators, else we're never going to turn the tide on gender based violence. So, we have been, in fact, last year we have done workshops with men, with perpetrators. Some people has even been critical in saying, why are you working with the perpetrators? But it's like bringing the gospel and preaching to the converted. If we work with women continuously, we know, and research have shown that the same, if we do not start with healing with the boy child, with the men, and that's why the program this year is more intentional, to work with the boy child, to work with the men, and to bring healing. Because if we're not going to bring, so we have services, we have psychosocial support for men as well, Julie, as well as we have the workshop. And in fact, I did a 4-day workshop with men. They're not all perpetrators, but men sitting together, and then doing GBV awareness workshops with them. And maybe and then of course there's men's organizations that we refer men to, that we feel needs further assistance here in Cape Town. So that is what we've been doing, and the intention is now to start working with the boy child from this year.
And of course, that is very, very important. And I'm just wondering, men, and very especially men who abuse for whatever reason, be that they themselves came from very broken childhoods,
Yes,
neglect, etc. So they go and they don't know better. Do you
yes.
think that the training, the workshops that the men go on, does help to turn and change their mindsets in the way they interact with women, and they stop to think about, uh, it's not manly to beat up on a woman. It doesn't indicate that I'm a powerful being. It's
Mm,
about, you are powerful if you can
yeah.
spread, as a man, spread
Yes,
love, protection, and be a
yes,
nurturer. Is that
yeah.
what your workshops would cover? And are the men,
Definitely.
are they susceptible to that thinking?
Yes, they are. And Julie, you'll be surprised. The one in the workshops who crack the most jokes, I watch the dynamics of the men when they come onto these workshops. The one who cracks the most jokes, that would interject when I say something, because then the workshop becomes uncomfortable and they start interjecting, and that. And I just want to go one step back to what you asked me previously about, do we advocate not for divorce? We're not saying we do not, because there's some matters, where you can see this is going nowhere and this woman is safer on her own. But I want to say that we first try. So before, I think 2 years ago was the first time I placed a woman in a shelter. Her husband came to see me. I said to him, I cannot tell you where your wife is, but I can offer you assistance. And that was 2 years ago for me, when I started working with the first male perpetrator, Julie. In fact, one on one with the perpetrator. And if I look at that family, that almost gives me hope. When I see them, I always say that is one of our success stories, where I see him being the functional father and husband now. And so we know, like you said, our historical trauma, our generational trauma has caused a lot of damage, or hurt men, and damaged and trauma, lots of men sitting with lots of baggage and background of intergenerational and historical trauma. If we look, if I mean, if I want to go back, if you look at our fathers was boys during the day coming home to their homes, and then having to wear those different hats, being different things. So there's a lot of historical trauma that apartheid, racism caused to the men in our families, and especially to black men and men of color.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of stuff, work to happen. But Julie, so for me, as a GBV, as a human rights defender, I call myself an African feminist and human rights defender, and I'm very wary that as an African feminist, we say as African feminists, we are about building families.
Okay,
Um,
very, very heartening. What I like from what you've shared with me this morning is you are saying to me there is hope for a perpetrator if if he's willing to listen and
yes,
if he is willing to make the necessary change in his life and to save
yes,
his marriage. That being said, let's look at the issue around protection orders. My final I'm hearing a lot of feedback in my headphones. I don't know where it's coming from. But that being said, let me ask you this final question. You spoke about protection orders. Is it at all possible that the person was an abuser, the husband abused his wife, whether verbally or I mean, abuse comes in many forms, in very different forms. It can be very, very subtle, and you can't pick up on it. Um, is it possible that the woman takes out a protection order, but then decides that with ongoing therapy for the husband and possibly herself as well, they can still live together in the home and work on their marriage? But her protection order is some form of protection for her to fall back on should he step out of line. Is that workable and is that a possibility?
Julie, I want to say to you, yes, it can work, but not in all matters. We have seen the murder of a woman now on Christmas Day, where a husband was granted by the court to stay on in the marital home. In fact, they had a divorce. The magistrate granted the order for him to stay on until January 2023. They got divorced in November. On Christmas Day, he murdered her in front of her children, Julie. So, cases are different in merit. I mean, there's protection orders where couples are still married, and yes, the order stops men from abusing them. But we also know that there needs to be a safety plan, Julie. And so we speak with the woman through the safety plan. So because we know women are even more vulnerable once a protection order is granted, Julie. So
On
yeah,
that
we can
very
unpack that as well. Yeah.
on that very vulnerable and sad note, unfortunately, we're going to have to end it there. We've run out of time, but it's been wonderful talking to you. I do hope you'll join us again sometime soon to talk about this very, very important matter. And that, of course, is GBV, the protection of women and children. Final thoughts
Julie,
from you.
yes, Julie, sorry. I just want to just say to your listeners, we have a boys haircut drive going on. And like I said, this year we want to start being intentional about working with the boy child. So if there are any listeners listening to this that can support us, please support us to send the boy child to school with a haircut. Something as simple as a haircut, Julie, will boost their ego, will yes, yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
what I do want to say is, can we talk with you again tomorrow? Pick up from where we've left off, and we can
Yes,
talk to you for about 15 minutes tomorrow because I think
perfect.
really very important stuff to unpack.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for the
It was
opportunity.
absolutely delightful talking with you this morning. Till tomorrow, then, my producer will make a time with you. You go
Yes.
well, God bless, and thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
It is exactly 11 after 10 o'clock, time for us to wrap up. Thank you indeed for your company on News and Views this morning. Hope you found the discussions interesting. Um, if not interesting, at least thought provoking. So, till tomorrow morning at the same time, as always, a big thank you to my controller and producer. And that, of course, is you, Kolani. And to the rest of you, take care, take it easy on the roads, and just give your little darlings big hugs and big kisses when they come back from their first day back at school. Assalamu alaikum and Khudafiz from me, Julie Ali.